Well, Big Mouth Ethel says that Betty Furness knows more about 1949 than anyone. And I'll be darned if I'm going to have any woman get the best of me, even if she is blonde, beautiful, and...
I Love Lucy remains a timeless TV classic, with Fred and Ethel Mertz bringing humor and heart to every episode. On screen, they seem like the perfect quirky couple, but off-screen, actors William Frawley and Vivian Vance shared a deep dislike for one another. Behind their seamless comedic timing was a tense and bitter relationship, fueled by clashing personalities and long-standing resentment. While audiences saw only the laughs, the truth about their mutual hatred has gradually come to light, revealing a far more complex and hostile dynamic than fans ever imagined. Vivian Vance and William Frawley brought Fred and Ethel Mertz to life in I Love Lucy, creating one of television's most beloved comedic couples. Their chemistry on screen was undeniable, with perfectly timed banter and constant bickering that added charm and realism to the series. Audiences across America adored their performances, assuming the two actors shared an easy rapport off-screen. But in reality, their relationship was anything but friendly.
Oh. What's the matter with you?
For a minute, I thought you were being strangled by a giant caterpillar.
Behind the cameras, Vance and Frawley had a mutual disdain for each other. The on-screen bickering, which millions found hilarious, was often rooted in genuine frustration. Vance, known for her professionalism and dedication to craft, approached every scene with seriousness. She rehearsed thoroughly, striving for flawless execution. Frawley, on the other hand, was a heavy drinker with a reputation for showing up late or unprepared. His old-school, gruff demeanor didn't mesh with Vance's perfectionist tendencies. This fundamental clash created immediate friction. Vance reportedly complained that Frawley was crusty and uncooperative, while Frawley, 22 years her senior, allegedly responded by calling her that bitch or the sack of doorknobs behind her back. One widely shared anecdote recounts how, when producers once suggested a possible spin-off series featuring just Fred and Ethel, Frawley was thrilled, but Vance flatly refused, saying she couldn't imagine spending any more time with him. Their disdain spilled into daily interactions. While filming, Vance often avoided Frawley between takes. Crew members noted that the pair rarely spoke unless the cameras were rolling. Lucille Ball, who was close to Vance and had great respect for Frawley, often acted as a buffer to prevent conflicts from derailing production. Though the show's success relied on the Mertz couple's on-screen dynamic, it became clear that their off-screen animosity was deeply personal. Ironically, it was their hatred that made their scenes feel so authentic. The bitterness in Ethel's jabs and Fred's gruff replies reflected more than just scripted comedy. It echoed their real-life contempt. This added an unintentional edge to their performances, one that viewers interpreted as comedic gold, though fans never suspected it during the show's run. The truth about Vance and Frawley's toxic relationship has since become one of classic television's most infamous behind-the-scenes stories. Their ability to hide such intense dislike while delivering flawless performances remains a testament to their professionalism and the complex dynamics of fame. At the heart of Vivian Vance and William Frawley's feud was a profound clash of personalities shaped by vastly different backgrounds, values, and acting philosophies. While their on-screen dynamic as Fred and Ethel Mertz was scripted for laughs, the tension behind the scenes stemmed from real differences that neither actor could ignore. Vivian Vance was a refined, intelligent woman with a strong foundation in theater, educated and stage-trained. She came to Hollywood with a background in Broadway and a deep respect for the art of performance. Vance approached her work with discipline and modern sensibilities. She valued character development, progressive portrayals, and saw acting as a craft to be honed with precision and thoughtfulness. Her portrayal of Ethel often frustrated her, as the character was frequently made to seem older, less glamorous, or subservient to Lucy Ricardo. Vance longed for more dignity and complexity in female roles, an ambition that put her at odds with the show's traditional comedic tone. In contrast, William Frawley was a product of an earlier era in entertainment. Born in 1887, he had decades of experience in vaudeville and early film. He was brash, gruff, and unapologetically old school. Frawley's acting style leaned heavily on instinct, repetition, and minimal rehearsal. He wasn't interested in dissecting character arcs or exploring emotional nuance. He wanted to deliver his lines, get the laughs, and go home. To him, Vance's methodical and sometimes critical approach to acting probably came off as pretentious. Frawley's off-screen behavior didn't help matters. He was known for his drinking and could be abrasive, especially when challenged. Vance, who maintained high standards and expected the same from her colleagues, found his antics unprofessional and disruptive. Their working relationship suffered as a result, with frequent arguments, eye rolls, and icy silences on set. Their divergent personalities also extended to their views on gender roles and creative vision. Frawley represented an older generation that accepted traditional male dominance and the comic buffoonery of women on television. Vance, by contrast, pushed back against those stereotypes, advocating for women to be portrayed with more respect and depth. Her frustrations with how Ethel was written, often the butt of jokes or trapped in a stale marriage, only amplified her resentment toward Frawley, who seemed content with the status quo. This ideological rift made it impossible for them to find common ground. While Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz maintained a professional environment on set, even they couldn't bridge the gap between Vance's elegance and Frawley's rough edges. The two co-stars represented not just personal opposites, but different eras of Hollywood, clashing in the golden age of television. In the end, their performances were enhanced by their real-life friction, but the cost was personal. Neither ever truly respected the other. What the audience saw was comedy chemistry. What was really happening was a daily battle between dignity and defiance, progress and the past. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to All Profiles. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories. Thank you for being part of our community. William Frawley's long-standing battle with alcohol was no secret in Hollywood. Though he managed to maintain a degree of professionalism during filming of I Love Lucy, his off-screen drinking cast a long shadow over his reputation and contributed significantly to the breakdown of his relationship with Vivian Vance. To Vance, Frawley's habit was not just a personal flaw, it was a professional liability. Frawley, despite his history with alcohol, rarely showed up to the set visibly drunk. He knew the stakes were high, especially under Desi Arnaz's strict policy. If Frawley ever came to work intoxicated, he'd be immediately fired. That threat seemed to keep him in line during filming hours. However, outside the studio walls, Frawley's drinking continued to affect how his co-stars, especially Vance, perceived him. She viewed his habit as reckless and a sign of his lack of dedication to the craft. Vance, who took her role seriously and valued preparation, grew increasingly frustrated with Frawley's laissez-faire attitude. While she studied her lines, rehearsed diligently, and sought deeper meaning in her character, Frawley took a more relaxed and often indifferent approach. He preferred minimal rehearsal and saw acting as a job rather than an art form. For someone like Vance, this created a professional chasm that was hard to ignore. Their tensions often flared when it came to work ethic. Vance believed Frawley's off-camera behavior undermined the integrity of the show. She was known to complain about his reliability, suggesting that his drinking could someday affect production. Even if Frawley never caused a major incident on set, the looming possibility made Vance uncomfortable. She couldn't understand why someone given such a valuable role wouldn't take it as seriously as she did. Frawley, in turn, resented her scrutiny. He likely saw her complaints as overblown or self-righteous. In his eyes, he was doing his job just fine, and the ratings proved it. But for Vance, simply showing up wasn't enough. She wanted professionalism and mutual respect, neither of which she felt Frawley offered consistently. Their strained dynamic became yet another layer of tension between two people already divided by personality and worldview. The presence of alcohol's symbolic irresponsibility to Vance and a coping mechanism for Frawley added toxicity to an already volatile working relationship. Their shared scenes may have drawn laughs, but behind them was a simmering distrust, with Vance quietly fearing that one drink too many might someday break the fragile professionalism holding their partnership together. Behind the scenes of I Love Lucy, studio politics played a significant role in shaping the dynamics between cast members, especially between Vivian Vance and William Frawley. While the show's creators valued both actors for their on-screen chemistry, the treatment they received off-screen was far from equal. Much of this imbalance stemmed from Desi Arnaz's loyalty to Frawley and the deeply ingrained gender dynamics of 1950s Hollywood. Arnaz, as the show's executive producer, wielded enormous influence over casting and creative decisions. He had a long-standing rapport with Frawley and appreciated his veteran comedic timing, despite Frawley's known issues with alcohol and occasional abrasiveness. Arnaz often gave him the benefit of the doubt. He famously warned Frawley that one drunk appearance would cost him the job, but never had to follow through, as Frawley stayed functional during shoots. This good-enough attitude protected Frawley from serious scrutiny. In contrast, Vivian Vance's concerns about professionalism, equality, and character development were sometimes interpreted as being difficult. Her desire for more depth in her role and her frustration with the imbalance in rehearsal expectations were seen not as dedication but as complaints. In a male-dominated environment, her assertiveness was mischaracterized as troublemaking. The double standards were glaring. Frawley's drinking was tolerated, while Vance's advocacy for better writing or fair treatment was met with eye rolls. Studio executives and producers, mostly male, favored those who went along with the system, and Frawley's old-school, don't-rock-the-boat persona aligned with that expectation. Vance, in contrast, pushed back against the status quo and paid the price in reputation. These dynamics bred resentment. Vance saw Frawley being rewarded with stability and respect, despite his flaws, while she had to constantly fight to be heard. The power imbalance extended beyond the script. It was embedded in the culture of the show's production. Even when Vance expressed legitimate concerns about Frawley's reliability or the lack of rehearsal time, she was often dismissed. Ultimately, the politics of favoritism and gender roles fueled the animosity between them. For Vance, it wasn't just about clashing with a co-star. It was about feeling trapped in a system that consistently undervalued her professionalism and overprotected someone she believed did less to earn it. This sense of injustice became a lasting wedge between them, rooted not just in personal differences, but in a studio culture that picked sides. As the camera stopped rolling on I Love Lucy, the simmering tension between Vivian Vance and William Frawley often boiled over into sharp words and petty jabs. Their off-screen relationship was laced with sarcasm, passive aggression, and biting remarks that made their mutual dislike well known among the cast and crew. What appeared as humorous banter on screen masked a very real and ongoing feud that neither of them made much effort to hide. Vance reportedly made frequent jokes about Frawley's age and frailty. At one point, she allegedly quipped that playing his wife was like being married to my grandfather. These comments stung Frawley, who was already sensitive about the significant age gap between them. He was over 20 years her senior. To many on the set, her barbs weren't just light-hearted teasing, but a reflection of her genuine disdain. Frawley, in return, gave as good as he got, if not worse. Behind Vance's back, he would refer to her with crude and insulting nicknames, including calling her a bitch and other derogatory terms. He dismissed her theatrical background as pretentious and often joked that she was high and mighty for a sitcom actress. His sarcasm didn't stop at insults. He also took every opportunity to downplay her talent and contributions to the show, reinforcing the toxic undertone of their working relationship. Their feud wasn't confined to private whispers either. Crew members recalled the chilly atmosphere when the two had to share a scene or interact during rehearsals. They rarely exchanged friendly words, and when they did, it was usually cloaked in snide comments or deliberate avoidance. Over time, their antagonism became something of an open secret on the set. Everyone knew Vance and Frawley couldn't stand each other. Even after I Love Lucy ended, the feud continued to echo. When a spin-off was proposed that would reunite Fred and Ethel Mertz, Vance flatly refused, saying she would never work with Frawley again. He, in turn, reportedly celebrated when he heard of her death, saying it was a happy day. These final barbs illustrate just how deep the animosity ran. This wasn't a temporary spat, but a long-lasting hostility that lingered long after the final episode aired. Their public jabs and private insults formed one of television history's most infamous off-screen rivalries. In the wake of I Love Lucy's success, CBS saw potential in continuing the magic with a spin-off centered on Fred and Ethel Mertz. The network pitched the idea of giving the popular supporting characters their own show, banking on the established chemistry and fan base they had built over the years. However, what looked promising on paper quickly unraveled due to the undeniable tension behind the scenes. Vivian Vance flatly rejected the offer. She had endured years of off-screen conflict with William Frawley and had no interest in prolonging the uncomfortable working relationship. According to several sources, Vance made it clear she wouldn't participate in any future project involving Frawley, citing both personal dislike and professional incompatibility. She reportedly said she couldn't bear to spend another minute pretending to be married to a man she couldn't stand. In a twist of irony, or perhaps sheer pride, Frawley later claimed he wouldn't have accepted the project either, even if it had been greenlit without Vance's resistance. Whether his statement stemmed from genuine disinterest or bruised ego is up for debate, but either way, the outcome was the same: the spin-off never happened. The collapse of the project served as the ultimate testament to the depth of their feud. Hollywood is known for unlikely partnerships and professional compromises, but in this case, the personal animosity ran too deep. Not even the promise of more fame and money could persuade them to work together again. The failed spin-off opportunity marked a clear and final line in the sand. Vance and Frawley were done with each other, both on and off the screen. Their mutual refusal wasn't just the end of a potential show, but the definitive proof that their differences were, and would always remain, irreconcilable. To the millions of viewers who tuned in weekly, Fred and Ethel Mertz were the perfect comedic couple, lovable, quirky, and endlessly charming. Their on-screen chemistry was a major part of I Love Lucy's success, and America adored the way they brought humor and warmth to their roles. Fans saw a couple full of playful banter and affection, never suspecting the storm of bitterness brewing behind the scenes. The show's producers and the network went to great lengths to keep the truth under wraps. Maintaining the illusion of harmony was essential to preserving the show's magic and ratings. Public knowledge of any conflict between Vivian Vance and William Frawley would have risked damaging the show's reputation and alienating its audience. So, behind the camera, tension simmered quietly, carefully masked by smiles and professionalism. This duality between public persona and private feelings is a familiar reality in Hollywood. Many stars play roles that starkly contradict their true emotions, often forcing themselves to collaborate with people they dislike or resent for the sake of the project. Vance and Frawley's story is a vivid example of this divide, highlighting the sacrifices performers make to maintain the illusion of seamless entertainment. Their ability to portray warmth and affection on screen, despite the bitterness off-screen, is a testament to their professionalism, but also a reminder that what audiences see is often only a fraction of the truth. The laughter that Fred and Ethel inspired masked a deeper story of conflict and frustration, one that only surfaced years later, revealing the human complexities behind a beloved classic. William Frawley passed away in 1966, marking the end of an era for the beloved I Love Lucy cast. However, Vivian Vance's reaction to his death was far from mournful. According to reports, her initial response was cold and even dismissive. She reportedly remarked, "Champagne time," a stark indication of the deep bitterness she still harbored toward Frawley. This comment revealed just how strained their relationship had remained, even years after the show ended. Though time is often said to heal wounds, in Vance's case, any softening was limited. She later expressed a more measured acknowledgement of Frawley's passing, but full forgiveness never came. The long history of professional clashes, personal insults, and mutual resentment left scars that lingered until the end of her life. The tension between them was not just a fleeting disagreement, but a lasting grudge that shaped how they viewed one another long after the cameras stopped rolling. Vivian Vance died in 1979, still carrying the weight of the conflict she and Frawley shared. The complexity of their relationship, part camaraderie, part rivalry, had become a defining aspect of their personal and professional lives. For fans and historians alike, this feud adds a human layer beneath the polished surface of one of television's most iconic partnerships. Today, the legacy of Vance and Frawley continues to fascinate audiences. Their story is a reminder that even the most beloved TV duos can hide deep struggles behind their smiles. The ongoing curiosity about their off-screen relationship underscores the enduring impact of their work, and the poignant reality that great chemistry on screen doesn't always translate to harmony off-screen. Their complicated history remains a compelling chapter in the story of classic television, illustrating how personal conflicts can coexist with professional success. In recent years, new documentaries and memoirs have peeled back the layers of the Vivian Vance and William Frawley feud, revealing just how intense and deeply rooted their conflict truly was. These fresh perspectives provide a more nuanced understanding, showing that their animosity wasn't simply personal, but also shaped by broader issues such as gender dynamics in 1950s Hollywood, the pressures of maintaining a flawless public image, and the toll that fame and constant scrutiny took on both actors. Modern commentators reflect on how Vance, as a strong, talented woman working in a male-dominated industry, faced unique challenges and dismissals that likely fueled much of her frustration with Frawley and the studio system. Meanwhile, Frawley's struggles with alcoholism and the stress of his career added layers of complexity to their relationship. Mental health, an often overlooked factor at the time, is now recognized as playing a role in the tensions on set. Fans who grew up loving I Love Lucy are often surprised and sometimes saddened by the stark contrast between the show's warm, comedic tone and the bitter reality behind the scenes. The knowledge of this feud challenges the nostalgic image of the perfect TV family, reminding audiences that even the most cherished on-screen relationships can mask profound conflict. Today, this reassessment encourages a more compassionate and realistic view of the actors behind the characters, highlighting the human imperfections behind their iconic roles. It also sparks ongoing discussions about how fame, gender, and workplace dynamics continue to impact performers, both then and now. The intense feud between Vivian Vance and William Frawley shows how fame, alcohol, clashing egos, and differing personalities can sour even the most successful partnerships. Their bitter off-screen relationship, though legendary, highlights the unseen struggles actors endure behind the scenes. Despite their personal conflicts, they created unforgettable television magic that still resonates today. Knowing the truth behind their hatred doesn't diminish I Love Lucy's charm. Instead, it adds a deeper, more poignant layer, reminding us that sometimes great art is born from great conflict. Thanks for watching All Profiles. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe with notifications on. We appreciate your support and can't wait to see you in the next one.